Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show. Once again, trying to make sense of this crazy Arizona market. And I'm going to share with you a prediction I made back in December when I was talking about the first quarter of this year. And shockingly, I was right. I didn't have to be a genius to make that prediction, but I thought it'd be kind of fun to go back and look at what I thought was going to happen and why, and then see where we're at today. So let's rewind the tape here a little bit. Let's go back to this clip of a recording that I made back in December of 2024. So there's going to be this wave of optimism that I think is going to spike listings up. But I don't see the sales following them because of that chart that I showed you. Pending listings, they'll go up a little bit. They're not going to go up by much. And I'm not preaching doom and gloom here. I'm just saying, based on what I see now, today, don't expect a hot Q1. So where do I expect it to come in? Well, if we get the uptick in January that we usually do, those numbers of listings kind of tend to peak in February and March, as you can see here. I think we're going to be hanging right about 26,000 because I'm seeing a gap between the number of new contracts and the number of new listings coming up. We're in positive territory this week by about 400 homes. In other words, 400 more contracts and new listings because you didn't put your home on the market for Christmas, right? So that's going to change in a couple weeks. Just going to snap and away we go. But then I think we'll start climbing up. We'll start having a bigger gaps between contracts and new listings, and it's going to continue to grow as we go forward for the rest of the year. Well, as you can see, I was projecting that we were going to start seeing new listings increase, which was to be expected, right? And they did. But the one thing that I was not buying into was this optimism by a lot of people in the industry that were saying that sales were going to increase, that, interest rates are going to come down and buyers were getting used to the higher interest rates. And Katie barred the door because here we go. And I said, I don't see a catalyst that's going to make that happen. I do see listings increasing, but not an alarming rate. And I projected that we would see listings at the end of March at about 26,000. Now, the word normal crops up again, where normal is about 27,000, but I don't think we can call that because we have much larger number in population here than we did back when the normal number of 27,000 was established. But either way, let's take a look. Here's where we're climbing up right now. Now, we've got 2 weeks to go before the end of March. And so if I look at these and it's showing it's here at let me get rid of this ink pen here. I'm at 24,323. We're going at about 500 per week. So that puts us at 25,500. So I may be off anywhere between 500 homes and maybe as low as 50 homes as we get 2 weeks out, which is going to put us right about here, just almost below 26,000. Now, like I said, I didn't need to be a rocket scientist to say that that was going to happen, but that's where we are. Now, sales have not increased, but what is surprising for me is how well luxury is doing. The high end of the market, I did not see it exploding the way it has. I mean, the number of homes that have sold, and not so much the number, is the prices that we're seeing out there astronomical. The luxury market is exploding in places like North Scottsdale, even Central Phoenix and Northeast Mesa. So there's a lot of luxury sales going on there. It's a result of a lot of different things, mostly stock market, people doing well out there. And I'm going to show you something at the end too on money supply. But here's where we are in our listing success rate by calendar month. And it's kind of hung kind of down here in, I don't want to call it the average, but it's low, but it's not astronomically low like what we saw here after the big meltdown. So the listing success rate, it's not setting any records. The contract ratios started to edge up a little bit. Now they're flattening out. And so we're not seeing anything alarming there. The average list price continues to come down a little bit. It's considerably lower than what it was last year, but there's still a gap between the list price and what we call the average sales price. The list price is still coming in exponentially higher. Unless you look at anything under $800,000, it's squeezing and getting a little bit closer to reality. Now, let's talk about new listings month to date. So, is there anything going on there? And it's really slightly lower than last year, as you can see here. 2,706 so far this month, 2,739 last month. And in 2023, it was considerably lower, but we're matching what we saw in 2022. In 2022, a lot of those new listings were spit out on the market by iBuyers like Open Door and OfferPad. And so while we do have a lot of new listings coming up compared to 2 years ago, it's not really that alarming. What's causing the overall listing count to grow is the fact that our sales are not keeping track. And that's because we've hit an affordability wall. Interest rates are too high for the average buyer. So the activity is not there. Like I said in December, I don't see a catalyst for buyers to come out of the woodwork, and that has not happened. And you can see here on our sales per month, we're right there at last year. I mean, we're hugging last year and the year before. It's like we just don't want to let go of that same sales trend. Now, I alluded earlier about money supply. Now, I'm no major economist, but this is money that's out there and it's growing. Now, it has shrank a little bit here as we get into January and creeped up in February. But overall, the trend with our money supply has been up. That's an interesting thing we're going to watch. We're not going to watch it real closely. What's it got to do with local real estate? It's a lot to do with macroeconomics and what we can expect going through for the rest of the year, and the central banks looking at it and where are interest rates going. Right now, the bond traders are just kind of holding flat. We're sitting at 6.7%, hasn't budged. I don't expect it to budge. The markets don't like uncertainty. And if there's one thing that we're seeing right now, there's a lot of uncertainty. Whether you agree with it, disagree with it, doesn't matter. We don't know where we're headed. And so we can't see clear directions in rates, clear directions in sales, clear directions in anything until we see some kind of trend or some kind of stability going on in our economy. And right now it's just not there. So we're going to do what Pat and I have always coined is we're just muddling along. So now what do I predict for the rest of the year? I don't know yet. I'm waiting to hear what's going to happen April 1st. I want to see the number of expireds. My gut tells me it's going to spike because I think people listed January 1st and said, let's let the listing expire at the end of the quarter. If it doesn't sell, just let it expire. Because I'm trying to see if I can get the equity. If I don't, okay, I'm out. It was fun. Maybe I'll see you next year. Surveys that I put out actually echo that same sentiment. Now, what if we see a huge spike in expireds? Well, that means that I don't expect a lot of new listings going into summer. I mean, they're not going to circle back and come back in. Not if the fundamentals haven't changed, if interest rates haven't changed, affordability hasn't. I think they're going to sit it out probably a whole nother year unless something changes. Now, what if we don't get a spike in expireds? Well, same thing. I think you'll see new listings continue to grow as we get into the summer because, again, that sales number is not going to grow. It's going to stay where we're at. So we could get up to 30,000 listings by the end of June or the end of July. So, but until I see that expired number that kind of gives me an indication of where sellers are, it's kind of hard to spitball out a prediction and see what's going on. But for this part, I was right. And like they say, even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. Hope you found this helpful. If you have any questions, shoot me an email, rick@rickhelps.com. And don't forget, sign up for my weekly newsletter. Comes out every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Take care.